Vande Gujarat.
Very good morning, everyone. Once again, I'm here to talk with you something about learning and growing together. I hope we are making some positive impact in your life so that we can all learn and grow together. In this series of confidence building through public speaking, we have talked about numerous things. First of all, we talked about introduction to public speaking. Then we talked about introducing ourselves to public. We also talked about structuring our speeches in public, which has opening, body, and conclusion. And lastly, we talked about vocal varieties and how it helps connect with audience more. To brief that up, let's have a quick recap of what we did on vocal variety. With your vocal variety, you should be very smooth to the ears of audience, which means you should be very clear, audible, and your thoughts should come out as words very expressive. We also talked about having compassion towards the audience, which means while teaching or while telling or while speaking in public, you are compassionate towards your audience. You feel for them and you try to work out for them instead of just showing your supremacy. In detailing, we talked about volume, how loud and low volumes can give different impact on your audience. We also talked about pitch, where excitement, enthusiasm, exuberance can make a whole lot of difference compared to low mellowed down voice when you want to depict sadness or misery. We also talked about rate of the speech, where when we talk fast to give some information or the things which might need speed in your voice, we also talked about something which is very slow to give the effective impact. We talked about quality of your words, quality of your expressions by combining it with body language. And we talked about a very important aspect, which is pauses. So pauses definitely does impact the speech. I hope every one of you incorporate those things in your life and feel how the positive impact is changing the way you talked earlier and the way you talk using these all parameters. We also talked about when we talk one-to-one with someone, forget public speaking, if you can match the feel or sync the frequency in which the person is talking with you, it will give you much better impact. It will give you much better resonance with that person. So over and all, we wanted to be pleasant with the audience. We need our words to be clear. We want to be natural in our voice. Do not try to have fake accent or show supremacy. Be yourself, one on stage and off stage. Be expressive with the hands of body movements and with the support of vocal variety. We also told how we can be forceful when we want someone to take a particular action. We also talked about how breathing helps in taking effective pauses and giving a great speech. Energy is one thing which impacts the audience the most. Only if you are full of positive energy, audience will respond to you, listen to you, and follow you what you are saying. So be energetic. As we said, how pauses matter not just in humor, but before or after every important word creates equal impact. Lastly, we talked about having better choice of words so that it gives the proper emphasis or proper impact. For example, instead of I'm feeling low, we talked about talking, I was down and dusted. Saying that all, complementing it with proper body language creates an impact like nothing else can. So, which brings us to end of the recap, and now we'll talk about, since this being the last day, we'll be talking about how mentorship can help. Remember, we talked that even if you forgot everything of what I said in last 5 days, or days to come, in public speaking, the most important aspect is practice, practice, practice. So even if you keep on practicing, definitely you'll reach your stars and get what you desire in your personality, your communication style. But if you want to expedite it, if you want to make it fast, if you want to give a catalyst to your learning, you can have a mentor. Remember, we said a mentor does what? Mentor helps you reach place where they have been already. A mentor has worked out many mistakes, many failures in their life, and you don't have to go through them all over again. Remember, we do not create words, we do not invent alphabets, we start writing sentences. So most of the work has been done by mentors, gurus, coaches, friends, philosophers, guides, books. You do not have to start all over again, start from the scratch. You have to learn from their learnings and start from there. So that is the beauty of having a mentor in your life. Now, in this session today, where we talk about art of giving feedback, which in turn means how to be an effective mentor. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, as we always say. Every feedback, if constructive, can change lives. I remember when I was first given the feedback of a not so good speech by very, very rejoicing words, it changed the way I looked towards my public speaking career. And for you, since we have learned a lot in public speaking in last 4 days, it's now time to help be that light for many others. But to be that, you need to have some tricks, some tips, and some traits of a leader, of being an effective feedback giver or an evaluator. Feedbacks can be given at many places, not only for your speeches, but also for your actions. For example, if you're in office and you see something very good happening, you need to go out there, applaud, acknowledge, and let the world know what good has been done, because only that motivates the person who is doing good. It encourages them like leaps and bounds. Only then they'll continue the good work if their work is acknowledged. And that is the beauty of acknowledgement. We all want to be known. We all want to be validated. We all want to be acknowledged. You know what is the sweetest thing to someone's ears? That's their own name. If you say, Khushal, you have spoken amazing, that's changed my life, Khushal, you are doing something great. That is what inspires me the most. Likewise, for any feedback, you need to acknowledge what has been done good before. And only then you go out to tell them what could be done better. So, as we were talking about any good deeds done in office, any amazing initiative taken, anyone who's helping each other, or anyone who's overall trying to get the organization up on the scale, a feedback is required. Feedback it's not only criticizing someone or applauding someone, it's a mix of something where you first applaud, acknowledge, get them really happy about what they are doing, and then very subtly also tell them how things could have been better. In particular, if you want to give a speech feedback, for example, if I have given an average speech where I have done some good things and loads of bad things, and overall an average speech, how you can get it upright is in a sandwich approach. So, for example, if I'm giving feedback to someone, I would count their plus points earlier. Let's give it a try. Khushal, you've been giving amazing workshop. You have tried many content, and you have talked on many topics. You have touched so many things, trying to get many lives better by your thoughts, words, and speeches. Only if you could work a little more on body language, it would help people a lot more. If you could have also incorporated how you work on your attire, even that would have helped the audience. But having said that, I am extremely happy that you have worked so much on your presentation, vocal variety, opening body conclusion, your organization of the speech, and your feedback techniques. Only little work next time if you do it on your body language and your attire, it would really help the audience even more. So, what I did here, we did a sandwich approach. First of all, we talked good about what is going on in the workshop. Then we talked about some things which we missed on the workshop. Now, this being a 5-day series, I understand there were only 5 topics, but there are many more aspects to public speaking. And that we'll of course discuss at the end briefly. And lastly, what I did in this feedback speech was I concluded what I said earlier so that the points of improvisation doesn't get fizzle out when you want to give it a sandwich approach. So at summary, you again give the good points and you highlight the points of improvisation and you tell them how it could have been better for the next time. So whole idea is sandwich approach motivates the speaker again to come on the stage, motivates a doer to do good things even more, motivates everyone around us to do what they are doing already better and get some improvisation on things where things could have been better. Choice of words matter a lot in this case. If you have observed, I do not say bad things in your speech. I say points where you can improvise yourself. So choose words wisely, which should not hurt the speaker, and likewise, they should be coming back on the stage, back in the field, back at where the action is. We also talked about how you observe things. Now, amazing speaker not only gives a speech, but he is in a way performing. How do you help him perform better? When you are giving a feedback, you need to be a very keen observant. You cannot just glimpse over a speech and say, okay, these were good things and these were generalized bad things, and here is my feedback. Only if the speaker or a doer sees that you have keenly observed the actions or words or deeds, then they will look up to you and take your feedback positively and constructively. So without observation, it's not only humor that comes out good, it's also evaluation which comes out amazing. Only if you are very keen, if you are really sympathetic and empathetic towards the person whom you are going to give feedback, the feedback will be taken positively. And for that, you need to put in efforts. You need to listen. You need to observe and then give feedback. Before we dive deep, I also want to tell you for whom is not a feedback proper solution. Anyone who is not ready to get feedback, anyone who feels I'm already doing the best, is not ready to get feedback. Everyone who does not take the advices is not ready for feedback. It is always said that advice should be given only to those who seek the advice. Free advice, as we all hear it many times, is not an effective solution. Neither it will help the person whom you are giving the feedback, nor it will help you by any means. So let the student be ready, and then the teacher will appear. If you have seen Star Trek or Star Wars, you might have heard this line, that whenever the student is ready, the teacher appears. Likewise, in life also, only the people who are ready to learn, ready to grow, get the opportunity and gets a proper feedback. Feedback is not only for the people who are on the receiving end. Feedback, leadership, mentorship is also for the person who is giving the feedback. And how is that so? Simple. Whenever you are giving the feedback, you need to listen very carefully. You need to observe very carefully, and which in turn helps you learn too much. It is always said that a person who teaches learns the most. I'll repeat that. A person who teaches learns the most, which means if you want to learn the maximum, you need to start teaching. When you share your learnings, you multifold what you have learned. It could be anywhere. You could, for example, if you're giving a feedback on a presentation of some colleague in your office, you need to be the master at that presentation yourself. If I am talking about giving feedback on public speaking, I need to know public speaking beforehand. If you need to give feedback on a presentation, if you need to give feedback on someone's cricket or football skills, you need to learn, you need to know the technique very well. So when you are giving feedback, you're helping yourself as well to be the master of that game. Whenever you are trying to give feedback, learn to be good at it. To teach, you need to not only be good at something, but you need to be best in that field. It is always said that it is easy to learn how to be good at something, but to be best at something, you also need to know how to teach it. Whenever you learn something with the aspect of teaching it further, you are more keen, more observant, and that helps you a lot. Always remember, when you think about others, you do amazingly well. You do great things for yourself as well. Feedback is a technique which has to have empathy within. Always remember that whenever you are giving feedback, suggestion, evaluation, inputs to anyone, it is not to show yourself superior from that person. You give feedback to that person to help him or her grow better from where they are to where they can be. It is not about you, it is about them. So always remember, feedback also, like public speaking, is not to impress someone or not to let someone down. It is to help someone grow. It is for the person whom you are giving the feedback and not yourself. So put your ego aside. Put your teachings just for the cause of upliftment, for the betterment to whom you're trying to give the feedback. Constructive feedback is one where you make the speaker come again and speak. You help him or her subtly and show them the sympathy. Because if you are giving them feedback, you have been in that place earlier. You have faced the failures, you have done the mistakes, and now you are ready to help them by your learnings in your life. Always remember, sympathy has to be the backdrop whenever you're trying to give someone feedback. You need to be empathetic. You need to put yourself in their shoes and feel what they're feeling if there is a scope of growth and they're not able to achieve that. Compassion for others will help you achieve that beautifully. As I said, never try to belittle someone by throwing, this is crap what you are doing, this is not how it is done, I can do it better. No, you're trying to help them. You're not trying to show them your supremacy. So making them belittle would not help in this constructively. At least it will not help them. It might help your false ego, but that is not what we are going to learn here. In public speaking, in feedback mechanism, in mentorship, in leadership, we are trying to help others grow, help organizations grow, help individuals be a better version of themselves. So belittling someone will in turn belittle you as well. Always remember, it is about them, it is not about you. And which brings us to the point of whether criticizing is giving feedback, or what is the difference between criticizing or giving feedbacks. It is always said that criticize in person and applaud in public, which means if you really want to help someone, you need to validate their learnings, their doings, or their speaking skills in public, so that they get attention and they get full throttle of what they've been doing. But if you want to give them some critical feedback, which by doing in public might make them feel demotivated, please do it in person. For example, if I want to say someone, your grammar or your pronunciation or your accent is not up to the mark, I would never ever do it in public. I would go to him personally and say, there is a scope of improvisation in your grammar, accent, or your vocabulary. Always remember, when you go to them in person, that is only the time when they really get it constructively and not serving your ego. And it is not only said for public speaking or professional things where we say that applaud in public and criticize in person. Even in your relationships, your friendship, your mentor-mentee relationship, or anyone who is looking up to you, your kids, always make sure you applaud them in public and only criticize them in person. And the way of criticizing also we have talked about. It is not pure criticizing. It is just informing them how they can be a better version of themselves, or what are the shortcomings they need to work upon. Leadership also is an amazing aspect. We grow when we are able to give good feedback. Always see in your organization, in your professional friends, or in your institution, where a person who gives good feedback also is definitely a leader. Only a healthy manager who is not insecure by your growth will help you get and attain or use a good feedback. Only a person with high self-esteem can do that. So for giving a good feedback, you need to be self-confident yourself first. Never be insecure whether your help or your suggestion or feedback or constructive mechanism which you want to give them will get them above you. Always believe a leader is one who pulls people up and not pull their legs down. A good feedback makes you a good leader. Any person who helps you get better is a person whom you look up to, and that becomes a leader. So even if you want to be a leader in your organization, it's not just taking initiatives, but helping people who have taken initiatives, which makes you a better and effective leader. Another very important aspect is feedback is given for a particular event, particular action, particular speech, and not for a particular person or his or her personality. For example, you do not generalize by saying you are way too lazy, you speak very bad, or your grammar is very poor. You talk about a particular event by saying your speech that day wasn't that good, could have been better. The vocabulary which you used could have been richer, or you could have used less of accent in that particular speech. Or talking in an organization, we could have said the event which you organized was amazing, but could have been better only if you have involved more people. Only if you could have done this thing better. Instead of saying you are not an inclusive person, that is way too generalizing. And by no means it will motivate the person. So never try to generalize, always try to be event specific, or in our case, speech specific if you want to give them a feedback. A person who is teaching their action or rectifying their actions is much better than a person who is trying to rectify their personality, because everybody likes their personality. And when you improvise on their events, improvise on their actions, the personality definitely slowly and gradually changes. But one should not attack their identity, their personality. And how you can do it? Not by generalizing. It is said that generalizing is generally left for the spouses. You are a lazy person, you don't love me, or something like that. That was on a lighter note. But whenever someone teaches you or someone tries to help you in a particular occasion, you are more receptive. You are more encouraged to do that things better. So, key point, never generalize. Also try to understand that when you are trying to give feedback, it is for their betterment, not yours. The words which you use should not be derogatory words. They should be positive in nature. For example, the examples which we used earlier were, it's not bad which we use how to improve. We do not say poor, we say could have been richer. We do not say it was wrong. We can say it can be done in a better way. So use positive terms if you want to have positive results in your mentee, in someone whom we want to give positive, constructive feedback. Another beautiful aspect of feedback, if you want to really give that feedback to a person who you want to improvise with your feedback, is cite with an example. You do not say that you are doing wrong all the time, or you are bad in your English, or poor in your grammar, or you are a lazy person. You give an example. For example, Khushal, when I saw you yesterday, the speech which you gave was not perfect. The word which you used was trying to belittle someone. So you should not use the word narrow, you should use the word scope of growth. So you cite a particular example, and then the recipient clearly understand what they need to improvise on. Instead of just saying, always use better choice of words. How do I get to know what word I used wrong and what is the better version of doing it? So a true leader, a great evaluator, will not only cite examples of how it went wrong, but also give the way it can be rectified. So whenever I say do not throw things here and there, I say let's try to be more tidy next time. So they clearly understand what is going wrong and what is it they need to do to get it better. In your organization, if you see someone is biased towards someone, or some politics happening in the organization, you need to go out them and say, the action which I saw yesterday looked as if a person is being favored. So let's not do it this way. Let's do it more holistic. Let's make it more inclusive and let it be for everyone in the organization. Instead of doing, I see something wrong happening and you should do something right. The recipient has no idea what they are going to talk about or what has happened and which has to be made right. And probably that would not fetch them some great results which you expect them to have in their life. So be specific with your examples if you really want to have an impact in someone's life. Always remember, you need to encourage the doer. And I'm repeating this. You need to encourage the doer to do good things again. You need to encourage the speaker to come back to speech again. You need to encourage the students to read more, keep on studying well, instead of just giving them vague rejections. You are not a good student. You will not be able to do that. It's not helping them anyways. If you want to be a better leader, better coach, better friend, better guru, better philosopher, you need to give them encouraging words. You're doing good in sports. Try something doing good in education as well, because that will make you a overall overwhelming personality. That encourages students to study also. So always try to be encouraging. We've seen many examples in our life. An amazing movie by Amir Khan was 𝐗𝐲𝒻𝒻, where the actor was not encouraged well, and that is why his capabilities were not taken up to the mark, and in turn, other aspects of his life were also getting hampered. Your words of appreciation, your feedback is like soiling a plant, is like watering a tree, it's making them grow. So be that positive change in someone's life. Trust me on this, there's no better feeling than that. As I always say, it is good to get, but it is great to give. If you can bring in that positive change in someone's life, it is an amazing feeling to be in. Always try to encourage people. When I talked about specific feedbacks, it can be everything. It can be about your public speaking, it can be about your outlook, it can be about your attire, it could be about the way you perform in public. It could also be about how you treat people in public or in person. But be specific. Generalizing will make them know, okay, something is wrong, which my leader, my guru, my coach, mentor, my superior is not okay with. But what am I supposed to do with it? End of the day, if you're not giving specific feedbacks, it will not help them in general. And to give specific feedback, you need to be putting in some efforts. And what are those efforts? For example, if I want to give you a feedback on your speech, I need to listen to the speech. And it might not be the most interesting speech you've ever heard. It might be a little boring. But if you want to help the speaker, you need to listen to it attentively. Remember, when you listen, you are also helping yourself. You are developing your listening skills. And the people in the sales might easily know it is the person who listens the most has the most beautiful relationships. When we talk someone, if only we keep on talking, it's no use. There has to be someone who listens. And most of the time in relationships, in professions, in organizations or institutions, most sought after person is the one who listens great. So when you're trying to give someone feedback, and for that you're trying to be a better listener, a better observer, you're not only helping himself by your efforts, you are growing yourself as a person. Always keep that in mind and be that empathetic, be that sympathetic listener for him. Because listening will also help you a lot. And you might at times feel, what am I getting by trying to give him feedback? What is that my job? What is my reward? This, my friend, when you grow by being a better listener and observer, is your reward. And how do you listen better? Just intentionally try to help him out by noting down on paper or mentally noting down what are the things which, if you have been doing, would have been doing better. While observing and while listening, you will also find many points which the person might be doing better than you. So that's another great reward for being an amazing listener. You learn from things what they are better at, and you help them grow by things which you are better at. So it's peer-to-peer learning. Sharing definitely increases the knowledge multifold. It is said that when you speak, you just blur out things which you know, but when you listen, you learn something new. So for giving specific feedbacks, you need to be a very keen listener, a very keen observer. And it's not only about speeches where you need to be a listener to give them feedback. You observe things. You see if something is not in order in your organization. If you see something which could be done better for the upliftment of the society, you observe that and then you report to authorities, report to concerned person, and probably you will be a part of larger good. Being observer also helps you have amazing insights. When you observe things, remember a person who is very good at humor, he has to be a very good observer on first hand. He should be able to think like no one else can. If I am a great observer and I can see both perspective of any event happening, any war happening, any quarrel happening, anything which is happening for the upliftment of society, anything which is happening in our college, if I'm a keen observer and I can look at both the perspectives, I would turn out to be an amazing person, amazing analyst, and that will help me grow in my field also. So listening and observation are very important aspects for you to give a classic feedback. Then after listening and observing, you need to do critical thinking as well. Many a times you feel, yeah, this all seems perfect. How can I give feedback on that? And it will happen many times in life. You see some amazing things and you have no words to make it better. That time you need to improvise on your critical thinking, because the best of the best things in the world also have a scope of improvisation. And if you can learn the art of critical thinking, you will be helpful not only to themselves but in your personal lives as well. So critical thinking is another aspect which helps people grow and helps you grow as a mentor, as a coach, as a person who can give effective feedback. It is, if you've seen many a times or heard that person is lucky, everything happens good to him. Remember, if you are a person who can analyze things better, who is very good at critical thinking, people will come to you with opportunities, and then luck by itself will reach you. You don't have to go places finding luck. Luck will find you by being best at what you are doing. Critical thinking is one such aspect. If you develop on your critical thinking, you can be good at everything. Not only helping someone else, but in your personal life as well. Which brings us to another aspect, that if you are good at critical thinking, you will be able to do better planning and better implementation of those plans. Let's talk about that. As we say that if you do not plan in advance, you are in a way planning to fail. Which means if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So a better planning, it could be anything. It could be for your event, it could be for any particular occasion, a marriage at home, a speech which you want to deliver, a keynote with big group of authorities which you want to create an impact on, or your funding rounds maybe. So a proper planning is definitely required. Since we'll be talking about public speaking last 5 days, it cannot happen without planning. I cannot speak for 5 to 7 minutes even if I haven't written something. Even if I have not tried implementing those words into sentences, putting it one after another, and what things come after another, and how do I use pauses, vocal variety, body language. So lots of planning goes in any process what you do. And if the planning is perfect, you are at much better state of getting things upright. After planning comes the implementation of the same. So when we are talking about out of giving feedback and critical thinking, these are two aspects which helps us a lot. A better planning with the critical thinking and better implementation. While actually doing, there might be occasions or there might be challenges which might crop up at the last moment. Only a person who can think critically, who can think on their feet, can tackle those situations. So when you are giving feedback to someone, you are growing as a person who might face challenges whatever or whenever they come. So always remember, helping others, in turn you are helping yourself. Better planning, better implementation, not just get you a great organizer, but turns you into a better person altogether. Always remember, you should be motivating people to take up good steps. And by art of giving feedback, you be a better motivator as well. You cannot be harsh. You cannot be yourself be at a junction where you cannot be someone's example or role model. So you need to be a better motivator if you want to really help them have a better feedback and grow by your feedback. A person who demotivates someone is himself or herself not good at certain positions. So always try to be someone who motivates people. A good feedback also depends largely on time management. For example, some things are done amazingly well, but not on the right time. Will they still be good, or there is always a scope of improvisation? Here I want to say that right things done at right times are perfectly right, and right things done at wrong times might not be that right or right at all. For example, if a person is dying and you give them a ventilator, that is right thing, right time. But if you're trying to give them a CPR after the person has collapsed or dead, the thing is still right, but the time is wrong. So right things done at right time will give the right most results. Always try to have time management also in your feedback. In our example, let's say if you want to give a feedback of a speaker who has failed miserably on the stage, and you go out to them and start giving your feedback. You could have done this better, this better, this better. The person is not in the mental stage to receive your feedback constructively. So probably you need to give them some time. At times also, if a person has achieved something great and you do not go to him immediately, even that is wrong timing, because you acknowledge, for example, 𝐒𝐿 Chopra for receiving a gold medal a year after he has received it will not get that impact. So time management, right timing is very important. The actual meaning of time management is doing or prioritizing your time for a particular task. So, for example, if I want to give this 1-hour workshop and I do not prioritize my time for preparing the speech or delivering the speech, and I put in whole of the time in getting myself upright, wearing my new blazer, making up my hair and other things, that is not time management. I need to be giving priorities to what is more important. A person is not here to look at how I looks, but to learn from what I can teach. So priorities have to be set. In day-to-day life, we also see that when we pick up our phone, most of the time, half an hour, 1 hour just goes by looking into new reels or Facebook posts or WhatsApp messages. Instead, the reason I picked up the phone was to check my emails. So we need to be very cautious about our time. Time management helps us also become a great person, a person on whom people can be relying, not a person who is a lazy one or a person who is not able to do things on time will ever be a leader or will ever be a go-to person. Always try to have time management in your life, because only by that you will be able to not just grow yourself but to help others as well. Especially in case of art of giving feedback, you need to have proper timing to help that person. Need to choose your words wisely and how elongated your advice or your feedback is. Sometimes single line of advice is deep enough for them to retrospect. But if you give too long a lecture, probably your important messages will somewhere fizzle out between your words and your stories and your anecdotes and your incidents, which you are trying to blabber just either to motivate him or let them know that these are the way you can do it better. So you need to maintain a balance, and time management definitely comes in handy. We say that when we're trying to help someone, we are doing it for their good. But always remember, and as we have also talked, that you should be grateful if you are able to mentor someone, because that is not only an opportunity for that person who is getting the feedbacks, who's trying to grow with your wisdom, but it's an opportunity for you to grow with them. Not everybody gets a chance to be a mentor. Not everybody will get an opportunity to let people be helped. So always be grateful that you are the person on whom the trust is levied, that they will be able to help someone. Always be grateful, and only when you are grateful, you can do justice to that role of giving feedback, being a better evaluator, being a mentor to someone, being a leader in the organization. By being a leader in the organization, I mean you should be role models for someone. For example, if I want to give feedback on someone's speech, I need to be a better speaker myself. And that keeps me on my toes to be a better person myself first, and only then go and give advice. So when you're trying to be a mentor, when you're trying to giving feedback, it also motivates you to be a better person in that field. So indirectly, karma hits you right back then and there to make you a better person, which is amazing, isn't it? By being role model, I mean if you want to tell someone to be good at heart, you need to be doing good things yourself. If you want to go out there and motivate someone for charity, remember, charity begins at home. So be the person whom you advocate them to be, or as Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And by being that change, you being your better version, you being a better person than you were earlier. So when you are trying to give feedback, you are being a better person altogether. Not just a role model, but also a person to whom people go to. And what's the difference? A role model is a person who can do it good. A role model is a person who has been there, done that, and knows how to do it. Difference between a role model and go-to person is a go-to person will also make sure he helps. So the richest man in the world might be my role model, but might not be my go-to person, because I might not go to him. He might not be available for me. He might not be in position to help me from somewhere apart. And most importantly, he might not be willing to help me. So, other than being role model, you also need to be a go-to person. A role model is also differentiated by the fact that I may be an amazing speaker, but I've had a certain background. Let's say a school which supported public speaking, my family, people who have been into public speaking earlier, and likewise. But a different person who is not from a good educational background, who has not had their stint with public speaking, or whose background is not the one which supports learning and leadership, I might not be the role person for him. For him, a role model would be a person who has been in his place earlier and reach where he wants to reach. So a role model also has to travel your path instead of traveling another path and reaching the same destination. Your destinations might be right, but when you choose your mentor, your paths should also be the same. And likewise, a go-to person should not only have traveled your path, reach the destination which you want to reach, but also be willing to help you and be capable to help you. So with this, I believe whole summary of art of feedback largely depends on your intention, how you want to help. So we'll do a quick summary of what we did, and that is by giving constructive feedbacks. It should help them come back and do things again. It should be more of your observation, your efforts, your learnings put to help another person. Your intention has to be right. Who is not ready to take your feedback is who is not either ready to grow or either ready to take feedback from you in particular. Always remember, teacher appears only when the student is ready. Always try to help others, not to put yourself on a higher seat or impress by belittling someone else. Another important aspect, applaud in public and criticize in person. It is not only about whom you are helping, it is also about you, because you are being a better person by helping someone. You being their go-to person, you are being their ideal person. Always encourage people to do what they are doing. Your feedback should be constructive. Your feedback should help them plan and implement. Your feedback should be specific and not generalizing. Your feedback should be for an event, for a speech, for an occasion, and not for the personality. Always remember, the backdrop of everything is pure intention. If your intention is right and you know the trick, you will be an amazing evaluator, a person who everybody goes to seeking advice or seeking improvement. Which means you should be grateful when you get a chance to mentor someone, or take it as an opportunity if you are able to mentor someone. So with this, we have talked enough about how to give a good feedback and how it can constructively be used to betterment of someone else, as well as how you be a better person by being able to give a good feedback. So that was our 5-day series where we talked about many aspects of public speaking. There are though many more aspects of public speaking, and which we might later take up someday soon. Other than the structure of the speech, other than the vocal variety, other than the feedback or introducing yourself, I believe some more important aspects is the best, though the most important is the body language. Though we have touched this topic numerous times in our previous sessions, but body language does help you express yourself more. And when complemented it with a perfect vocal variety or voice modulation or tonality of voice, it creates the impact like nothing else can. Only you need to do is remember one thing: be authentic, be genuine, and your body language will be in sync with your words, your voice modulation. So body language is one more thing. Also, we'll take a few questions which we had, and that question also has a question on that: how important is attire, the way you dress up for the occasion? I say it is very important. And we have heard numerous speakers who say, what's there in the way you look? It's your content, it's your thoughts, it's your ideas which matter the most. Yes, they do. But the way you look also impacts the audience largely. It is not only to impress them by your suits, coats, or by your attire, but it makes you feel ready for the event. So try to give good emphasis on the way you look also. And in body language, we also do the way you stand, the way you give a pause and pose. So your stance is called your pose. Pauses are equally calibrating those stances, the body language, the vocal variety. So always remember, your overall public speaking or communication skills depends largely on many factors, and everything has to be properly worked upon. We'll take up few more questions, and one such question was, how do I stick to my general purpose and specific purpose? So when in our second batch, we talked about organization of the speech and whether we talk, there is to be general purpose. Whether you want to motivate someone, whether you want to inspire someone, whether you want to tell a story, whether you want to persuade someone to do something, or you want to make it an engaging, humorous speech. There are times that though you are trying to motivate, but you might sidetrack doing humorous speech because you say, oh, this is amazing joke which I have got and I need to put it in this story. Always remember, you should be focused on your general purpose, and you can use a single line, a touch and go approach. It can be for humor, for inspiration, for your show off of skills maybe. But the core idea has to be there. Person, people, audience, whoever is listening to you, they should have a clear-cut idea that the person on the stage is here to motivate us, inspire us, make us laugh, or tell us a story. So, focusing on your, and while you write your speech, you need to reiterate, okay, this is shifting or transitioning from main idea to sub-idea. Is this still in alignment with my general purpose? So you need to write, rewrite, and when you give the final draft, you need to see who your overall speech is focusing on a particular general idea. One last question before we leave is, what should be the ideal time of the speech? Now, generally, ideal time of the speech is given by the organizer. So any organization will tell you that, okay, we want you to talk for an hour in this program of ours. And that is mostly defined by the organization. But let's say in an environment of college or your clubs, if you're set to introduce yourself, it depends on what is the culture of that club or culture of your organization. So it is very okay to ask the organization or ask the organizers in particular, what is the amount of time you want me to speak for? And it is absolutely okay. It is not that you would be looked down upon, okay, you don't know how much to talk. It is about the organizers and a particular event. So it is very okay if you go out there and ask straight, how much time do you want me to talk for? With this, we'll conclude our session. If there is any more question, you can always connect with me. This is the final chapter of the series wherein we talked about public speaking and some major formulas of public speaking. But if you want to connect with me more, have any questions or queries, you can drop me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. It's Khushal Lalwani, 𝐒𝐿𝐻𝑢𝐿ALWANI. I would be glad if I can help you any means, even in 1% of your growth. If I am a part, I'll have that called a purposeful life. Thank you so much for being with us these 5 days. I hope you had a meaningful, purposeful journey, and the learnings which we had in these sessions help you grow, learn, and shine like never before. Be the best version of yourself. Invest in yourself. Thank you so much.